The day I inherited 200 acres of land, a man in an HOA polo shirt told me I was trespassing on it. He stood at the gate with a clipboard tucked under his arm like it was a badge of honor, smiling, the practiced smile of someone who'd never been challenged and didn't expect today to be special. Behind him stretched hundreds of identical houses, perfect lawns, obedient sidewalks, shiny roofs catching the morning sun like they were proud of themselves. Sir, he said gently, if you don't live in the community, I'll need you to turn around. I looked at the keys still dangling from my hand. My truck idled. Dust settled. Somewhere deep in my chest, something ancient blinked awake. I told him my name. Nothing. I told him I'd just inherited the land he was standing on. That's when his smile softened into pity. I'm sorry, he said, lowering his voice like he was breaking bad news. That land was developed years ago. Developed. Like it had just happened. Like my grandfather hadn't cleared those hills with his hands. Like my family hadn't buried memories in that soil long before anyone invented matching mailboxes. I looked past the gate. Kids rode bikes, porch lights flickered off. A playground sat exactly where my grandfather once planted cedar trees and told me land didn't belong to men. Men belonged to land. And here was a stranger in a polyester polo telling me I didn't belong at all. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a mistake. It was a system. And systems don't apologize when they steal from you. They just smile and ask you to leave. Karen lived at the top of the neighborhood like a queen surveying her kingdom, which made sense because it turned out she'd built her throne on land she didn't own. Her house was impossible to miss. Bigger, brighter, perched on the highest point, like the land itself had been arranged to admire her. When she invited me over for a clarifying conversation, I knew before I parked that this wasn't going to be a discussion. It was going to be a performance. Karen greeted me with a smile so polished it should have come with a warranty. HOA blazer, gold pin, sunglasses pushed up just enough to say, I see you, but not as an equal. She spread documents across her kitchen table like a magician laying out cards, maps, binders, color-coded tabs. Everything screamed official, which was impressive considering none of it actually proved she owned the land. Your inheritance, she said gently, tapping a map, is symbolic. Symbolic. I almost laughed. My grandfather cleared these hills with an axe, but sure, symbolic. Karen explained progress, community, investment, families, schools, roads. She said the word authority like it was something you could grow if you watered it often enough. Then she made her offer. A buyout. Generous, she claimed. Or if I wanted to be reasonable, I could join the HOA as a non-resident member. Limited rights. No control. Plenty of obedience. I asked her one question. If I don't own the land, I said, why are you negotiating with me? Her smile twitched, just a millimeter. She warned me about legal fees, delays, how exhausting it could be to fight reality. I stood up, thanked her for the coffee I didn't drink, and walked to the window. From her hilltop, the land looked conquered. Karen mistook silence for surrender. That would turn out to be her most expensive misunderstanding. Karen didn't yell. She didn't threaten. She did something far more HOA approved. She mailed me. The first letter thanked me for my anticipated cooperation, which is HOA language for we already decided and you just haven't agreed yet. The second letter informed me I owed 15 years of dues for landscaping I'd never seen, roads I wasn't allowed to drive on, and a community lake named after something natural that had definitely been dug by a backhoe. Then came violations. Apparently, I'd failed to submit exterior paint samples for land I wasn't permitted to stand on. I laughed out loud, alone, a dangerous laugh. That's when the paper war escalated into performance art. Survey stakes appeared overnight, creeping across my land like they were trying to sneak while I slept. Men in safety vests measured trees my grandfather had marked by hand. When I told them to leave, police arrived, nodded sympathetically, and said the magic words, civil matter. Karen showed up too. She didn't speak. She just waved at the officer by name. Ah, that night, nails appeared on my access road. Roofing nails. New. Shiny. Subtle enough to pretend coincidence, sharp enough to destroy a tire and your patience. Trash followed. Signs vanished. A car idled near my driveway. Then my son came home asking why people said we might have to move. That's when I stopped reacting. I installed cameras. I collected everything. Letters, emails, footage. I hired people who liked old maps more than new lies. Karen thought she was tightening control. What she was actually doing was leaving fingerprints. The courtroom smelled like old paper and burned coffee. Boring, bureaucratic, perfect for a plot twist. Karen showed up at the front like a general, navy blue blazer sharp, gold pin glinting, confidence radiating like she owned the sun itself. She didn't know I had spent weeks collecting everything: binders of letters, old plats, yellowed maps, even the roof nails. I wasn't here to negotiate, I was here to expose. My attorney began calmly. Dates, documents, gaps in the lease, absence of my signature, expired agreements, laying them out like a precision domino line. The HOA lawyers sputtered, trying to pivot, but the judge wasn't impressed. Counselor, he said evenly, are you aware your client's entire subdivision is trespassing? The word hit the room like a dropped hammer. Trespassing. Not non-compliant, not mistaken. Trespassing. Karen's smile faltered. She was still perched on her hill, still in control, or so she thought. The court wasn't interested in theatrics. It was interested in facts: the expired lease, the forged title opinion, the chain of ownership that never existed. Every lie, meticulously documented, collapsed under its own weight. By the end of the hearing, the judge enjoined the HOA from claiming authority, referred the title insurance to regulators, and froze their power. Karen had spent years building momentum, only to realize that the ground beneath her, literally, was a lie. Weeks later, with lawful leases in place, the neighborhood transformed. No fines, no patrols, no arbitrary rules. Families planted gardens, kids played in streets without fear. And Karen, her house on the hill, her accounts, even her consulting shell companies quietly seized. Justice didn't shout. It filed paperwork. It quietly rewrote this. I hadn't taken a victory lap. I had restored the land my grandfather cleared by hand. Solid, patient, untouchable. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.